Can you see? Yes, you can, just about. Hello, good day, good day. Oh, rushing. Why are we always rushing, Louise? We are always rushing around.
So busy.
Oh,
can you see it?
Oh, so busy. Okay, thank you, Louise, for that. Good. Everybody, welcome, welcome, welcome. I got a bit of grey today, as you can see. If you zoom in on my grey, what do you reckon? Is it the new Richard Gere look? What do you think, Louise? Richard Gere look?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, whatever. It's the old man look. All right, everybody, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Sorry we are at 6 minutes late. In fact, we only just got up here at 1 minute to 4. A little bit on the busy side in the shop. It's absolutely manic in the shop today. We've had so much to do. I haven't done anything that I was supposed to do. Jason's been off. No. Jason's been off today. He decided to have today off to go shopping. I think he saw the amount of work that was supposed to have been done today, but I haven't done it, so I left it for him when he comes in the morning.
Nice attitude.
That's good. I'm the boss. Don't forget it. I am the boss. Hope everybody is all okay and everybody is looking good. Let's have a look. So you're helpless. I'm not helpless without Jason. That's no. Please don't ever say that. Whoever said that, time them out, Louise. Time them out. I am not helpless. I'm a better man without Jason. I am a calmer person. I'm a more gentle person. I'm more relaxed without Jason. I am. You know that. You're not saying a word, are you? Right, it's nearly Christmas. Christmas, yes, I was building up to this, Louise. Wait for it. So it is the 30th of November and tomorrow is December, and which means what, Louise? What is this week coming up?
Krampusnacht.
Krampusnacht, which is what days on Krampusnacht?
The 5th of December.
5th of December, and you are to celebrate it. Is this all week?
Well, is it a celebration or
celebration?
You find it if you've been really naughty.
Celebration Krampus, punishing the girls and boys who go. Merry Krampus. Sister, come back up again. Let's have a look. Merry Krampus. Why not?
Basically, Father Christmas rewards the good children. Krampus punishes you if you're naughty.
If you're not, exactly.
Gives you a warning though. He puts twigs in your shoes. I think for one night, and then second night, and then third night, then you've had it. You're gone, as Krampus is coming for you.
Krampus is coming for you. My gosh. I've been good. Yes.
It was funny today. I was talking to a little baby about Father Christmas and showing the little baby the train in the window, and I realised I had my Christmas monster jumper on.
They felt
I wondered why the baby wasn't smiling.
Nice one.
Yeah.
All right. So Christmas chocolates tomorrow, and what other sort of advent calendars you may have tomorrow as well. I'll be looking forward to eating. Is that right, Romy? Krampus is visiting you this year.
I'm sure Krampus will come to you.
I don't think so.
You're too much of a sweetie. There always used to be a Krampus room. Oh, I'd love to. Whitby is the spooky town with the witches and it's well known, isn't it, for the occult and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I bet that's really cool. Oh, I'd love to go and see the Krampus run. Can we go next year? Can we go to Whitby?
Oh my gosh.
Do we have some jewellery questions?
Should we? No. But I'm doing right. Can you pass me over my drink, please?
Yeah, what do you want?
Have
coffee?
Both? Yes, please. So as in we are so late, I'm still drinking my coffee and I can't find my water bottle, so I got this water bottle instead. We have been extremely busy this day, considering the first day of the week. It's Christmas, and the customers coming into the shop realise it is Christmas. Please, it's a 3D design. Okay, so we've got lots of questions. It is now Monday the 30th of November. Welcome to today's question and answer. A little bit late coming on, but you still got all your questions in. Thank you very much indeed. Loads and loads of questions. See how many we can get through today. I'm not going to dilly-dally, shilly-shally today. I'm not going to prolong the questions. I'm going to see how many I can get through, but make sure they are answered thoroughly. So Louise, may we have Our first question, please.
Yes. Sandra is asking, what are some things you can do with broken bits? In this case, I snapped a 0.8mm drill bit. I feel like I could use it for what?
Drilling still. Because you can still sharpen your drill bits. You have to, what I would do is get something like a Serragloss wheel. Look at this, man. Hang on. I still got this on there from last week. Okay. Oh, don't forget. Before I forget, Durston. I keep plugging Durston because they've got their special offer ending tonight. I think that is ATB20. Don't forget Durston. ATB20 for 20% off your Durston products. So you want to get a Serragloss wheel. I think it's Serragloss wheel. Get the yellow one. Okay, this is your Serragloss wheel. Get the yellow. They're not cheap. Oops, Daisy. I think they're about £25. These are going to be the best things for sharpening gravers and sharpening your drills. You've got your drill bit, you snap the end, like that, you snap the end and it comes around like this. What you want to do is make sure you use the Serragloss wheel and put a chamfer on the top that looks something like that. Then what you want to do then is to have the drill bit here, and you've got to sharpen the edges in that correct angle, on the cutting angle. So this would be a cutting angle. So if you look at it from the side, that would be, ooh, like that, wouldn't it? Yeah, really hard to explain, but yeah, drill bits break, you can do that with it. And you can keep on going all the way down to the shaft. So Serragloss wheel is what you want to get. That will basically polish up the front of the drill. What else can you use it for? Okay. So there's the drill bit here. Here's the shoulder. Here's where the drill bit was. What you can do is always just round off the end and make your own little mini burnisher. So round off the end, make that nice and smooth like that, and you can make it into a little mini burnisher. Put that into a graver handle, and you can make your own mini burnishers. So, but the drill, you can keep drilling all the way. If the drill snaps, you can keep going all the way to that shoulder. As long as there's that little bit of twisted cutting edge, you can keep using it all the way down to there. So don't throw them away. There's a couple of films on YouTube that I know of that show you how to sharpen drills. But get a Serragloss wheel, get a yellow one, and you can do them all. Fabulous. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Gillian is asking, any tips for soldering gold-filled, filed, gold?
Gold-filled.
Glasses, gold-filled items.
Oh, it's nice coffee. I don't really deal with gold-filled items. You'd have to. I would have thought you should use gold. You've got to be very careful with them when you come to polish up, that you don't go through the gold layer. So I think my best advice would be to make sure that when you're soldering, that you then don't do much cleaning up or buffing or sanding afterwards. I would always make sure that the joints, if you're coming around to make a joint, the joint is going to be perfect. You don't have to go filing the metal down, because as soon as you start filing the metal down, you'll go through the layer. So you want to make sure that you basically don't over polish, don't over buff, otherwise you'll go through the layer. But apart from that, I really can't give you much more information, I'm afraid. So I do apologise for that. Next question, please, Louise.
Sandra is upgrading her torch after Christmas to a question mark.
Okay.
I'm a home studio novice and I fear a kaboom. Any advice on type to buy and mindset to ally my fears?
Sandra, where are you? Where are you in the world? If you're in the UK, I would get something called a Sievert. Sievert torch, it runs off a simple propane tank. If you're allowed to have heating in your building, in your house, it comes in a tank. You can use those tanks in heaters. You should be able to use them with the flame as well. So if you're in the UK, Sievert, S-I-E-V-E-R-T, go to gas products, I can't remember, was it .com or .co.uk, Lou? Can you remember now? And that's Hamilton Gas. They're a company in Ireland. If you want the best price on anything to do with soldering and Sievert, Hamilton Gas. Don't go to Cookson, don't go to Cousins, don't go to anyone else. Go to gasproducts.com, I think it is, or gasproducts.co.uk. They are the cheapest people that you're going to get your Sievert equipment from. Gasproducts.co.uk is going to be. Yeah. Gasproducts.co.uk. Get a torch, get the handle, what's it called? Do they call it the Jewellers?
Hamilton Gas Products.
Yeah.
Sandra's asking, is it straight propane or mixed gases?
Just straight propane.
Straight propane, okay.
Because if you start to add oxygen into it, it's going to be very, very costly. You've got to then perhaps go up to the Smith's little torch. Even though the torches may be quite cheap, you've got to buy the regulators, you've got to buy the flashback arresters, and then that is double the cost, triple the cost of what the torch costs. You then also have to get oxygen tanks as well. The disposable ones, the small little ones, are not worth it. You'll go through them in 5 minutes. You'd either have to get like an oxy converter, or higher tanks. That tends to be a lot more specialized. Sievert, you can get the Jeweller's torch. So you get, it's the handle and it's the little, there we go. And there's the handle down here. It's a tiny, tiny pencil nozzle. There we go. Pencil nozzle. And it's a very, very thin little pencil tip. And that will see you right. If you want to do anything bigger than that, you can buy the necks, and also then you can buy a burner which will give you more heat if you want to do some melting down. But this little chap will last you for a long, long time. And we use these little Sievert torches with a propane tank for about 15 years, 20 years non-stop. Really, really good, really cheap if you're in the UK. If you're in the US, was it hokey to be this keeps coming back. I think it was hokey, wasn't it? Yeah. So there's that as well. But anything that's a single gas, propane, don't use butane. Butane tanks don't burn hot enough. But the propane tanks, you should be fine with that. Hokey torch. Hokey, H-O-K-I.
Hokey.
H-O-K-E. Yeah.
H-O-K-E.
H-O-K-E. Yeah. So I think the hokey torch. No, that has both, is it? Hokey. Oh, nice.
Mouth blown torch.
So it's not hoke.
What?
So it's not that one.
There we are, is that it? No.
And you can blow through the torches, but then that's another different thing altogether. We'll find out a bit more information. Okay, so there was a question that was asked by Natalia last week regarding the Delft clay rings with the side hole. You can buy them on eBay. What you want to search for is Wendy fixes it for Bob. Strange, isn't it? Wendy. Memorable. Wendy fixes it for Bob.
Fixes what for Bob?
That's the name on eBay. Wendy fixes it for Bob. That's what it's all about. And from that on eBay, you can buy the rings. They have all different sizes. You can buy the Petrobond as well. So Wendy fixes it for Bob. I'm sure Louise is going to have a quick tap on here because she's thinking Wendy fixes it for Bob.
Oh, I know. I'm just replying to.
Okay, so sorry. I'm going to ask you the next question then quickly, Louise, while you do that. Next question then, please, Louise.
Romy wants to add some copper to her pieces. Can I use the same files, etc., that I use with sterling?
Ideally, you should have different files. You should always try and keep your files separate. We don't when it comes to silver or gold. We use the same files, but I think when you start using base metals like brass, copper, nickel, silver, I think you should try and have different files for that metal, because if there's any copper that gets trapped in the teeth and then you're filing a bit of silver and that little bit of grit, bit of filing gets stuck in the silver, it could contaminate the silver, or it could contaminate the gold as well. So please try and have separate files from your precious metals to your base metals, just to be on the safe side. Yes, Amco, everything was okay with my tooth. I did feel something on my tooth. I thought I had chipped it, but thank you for your concern. It was all fine, thank you. Next question, please, Louise.
What's the best way to quality stamp a PMC component? Is the metal too hard or fragile to stamp after firing?
Okay, so think of precious metal clay as a chocolate bar. Oh, chocolate. So think of precious metal clay as an aero bar, and think of a normal piece of silver as a Yorkie bar. Oh, sorry, Louise, I know.
You're doing this now on a diet.
On a diet. So think of, okay, so from the outside, they look pretty much the same, don't they? But if you try and stamp a Yorkie bar, you'll have a nice stamp mark. But if you try and stamp an aero bar, it's going to compact and it's going to crumble, because the aero bar is full of air, is full of holes, and that's what the PMC is, because there's all organic matter in with it. So when that all burns off, it's slightly porous, because as you know, when you try and solder something onto precious metal clay, the solder just disappears. The solder just gets sucked up into the holes. So really, if you come to solder, you should always burnish a piece. So that's what I would suggest you do. The area that you want to stamp, you should always perhaps try and burnish with a burnisher, just to compact the metal, just to squash out all the air. Then when you come to stamp, you should have a better success when it comes to stamp, because you've squashed all the air out. I'm hungry now.
Yummy.
Didn't have much for lunch, did we? Want a bit of a cut down, bit of a diet. Gonna try and lose a bit of weight before Christmas, aren't we? Yeah, next question. We could become very irritable, couldn't we, with this? Well, I know I'm irritable most days anyway, and that's whether I've eaten or not. Next question.
Doing quite well, I think.
I think you're doing quite well so far. It's the first
Only
day.
half of day one, yeah. Okay.
Next question, please, Louise.
Julie is asking, is there a reason why wire solder only seems to come in easy and not hard or medium?
Well, I never knew that. I didn't know that. I know I bought some 18 carat. I bought some 18 carat, excuse me, 18 carat easy, because I wasn't prepared to buy a whole panel of it, which was a ridiculous amount of money. So I bought some 18 carat wire, but I didn't look into whether it did medium or hard. So I don't know, actually. Perhaps it's just the supplier that isn't stocking it. I haven't looked, but I will look out for it. I'll make a little note down here. Let me have a look. Wire solder, easy, medium, hard. I will find out for you if that is the case, but I don't know. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. Jude is asking, how would you suggest setting a briolet/teardrop stone into a signet-shaped ring without a solder bezel or any soldering?
How would you suggest setting a teardrop stone onto a signet-shaped ring without a solder bezel or any soldering? The only way that I'm thinking, you've really got to solder. The only way, on a signet ring, was it? A signet ring?
A signet-shaped ring without a solder bezel or any soldering.
I suppose the only way you're going to be able to, that's a really poor, wide, massive signet ring. So like a teardrop shape like this. So the only way I would have thought you could do it would be to try and burr out a pear-shaped teardrop shape in the signet head, so the stone lies in it. Then perhaps drill a couple of holes here and here and thread some wire up from underneath so it comes out. Then you could pass it over to that hole and take it down underneath, and vice versa, and bring that across here. and then you're going to have to then perhaps try and rivet it or do something on the inside to hold those wires within the underneath. If the head is a hollow head, well, then you can always wrap it and tighten it underneath. You could do that, I suppose. So there's your briolette there, or pass the wires going across this way, and that would hold that down. But I think it's going to be a tough job not being able to solder anything onto it, but just simply using the wires to pull it down, and perhaps underneath the head, you've got your 4 little holes, and here's the rest of the signet ring coming around here. This is the underneath of the head. When the wire comes out, perhaps just bend it across, don't know, something like that, so it holds it underneath. And then perhaps put a blob of cement, blob of epoxy resin underneath to hold those wires so they don't loosen up. But I think that'd be about the best way, I think. But is there a reason why you can't solder it, or why you can't put a bezel on? That would be your best bet if you could solder it. Okay. Can't think. Any ideas, Louise?
No, I've been trying to think.
No. Okay. Should we have a next question?
Yeah, I'm going to skip to forward quite a way because I've got a safety question. Cody is asking, I've got my hands on a Vic 12 vacuum casting machine and kiln. I would like to try lost wax casting, but my workshop is in my basement. How concerned do I need to be with ventilation when burning out?
You really do need to have ventilation, because if you're burning out wax, even though the wax will melt out at around about 150 degrees, you keep it at about 150, 200 degrees for about an hour or so. In theory, it does, all the wax will melt out, but there's always going to be some residue. What you must make sure if you are in a basement is once that wax has all dribbled out, and you should put a little tray underneath to catch the wax, is to take that tray then out after about like an hour, 2 hours, before the kiln ramps up even hotter. Take that tray out. I can't be bothered. I leave it in there, and we suffer because, well, you don't suffer, I suffer when I come up here and sort the kiln out, because the heat of the kiln then evaporates the wax and it's very dirty, it smells. But if you can remove that little tray of all the wax, then all you've got left are the little residue, little bits of wax within the investment flask. Then you're not going to get an awful lot of smell or smoke, because you've only got a very, very small amount of wax. So that would be my recommendation, would be to try it that way. Or put your burnout kiln by a window, or by an extraction, or by a vent.
Basement, you're quite limited, aren't you? What about some sort of face protection?
Yeah,
Because they do recommend that for casting, don't they? For
only if you're mixing with the silica from the investment, yeah.
Because gypsum's not good to be breathing in either, see?
No.
That's not healthy stuff to breathe.
No, it contains silica that gets caught in your lungs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's quite a few things you'd need to sort of research and think about there, I think.
Yes, I would think so. Yeah, go through. If you are solely stuck in the basement, try and think about doing some of the mixing. If you can't do it outside, wear a mask, definitely, because the investment powder has silica in it that does stick into the inside of your lungs. Because the wax is only going to be carbon that's going to come out. So I think take the tray out, what's left in the flask, which should be pretty minimal. You shouldn't be too bad, but perhaps use a respirator if you go down there, or just try and get the air out somehow. I'm not quite sure on your setup, but try and do that. There we go. Next question then, please, Louise.
Okay, Lorraine has bought some emery paper bits, shanks for her Dremel, having trouble starting the paper to spin onto the split shank. Any tips?
Oh, yes. I will get my split shank, and I will have a bit of a close-up on this. Have I got a... Here we go. Okay, so here's my... Am I plugged in? Hey, I'm plugged in. Okay, we've got... I'm going to use... This is what I often use. I often take the strip off my buff stick, and I will often use the strip that comes off, because this is normally quite fine. So there's my strip that I've just taken off. Here's my flex shaft, my pendant drill. So what I would do is put my split mandrel, that's the one. There we go. My split mandrel goes in my flex shaft. Okay, you can spin that now, and that spins. So what I would do then, I would then have the paper facing towards you. Okay, so here's the paper. This facing here is facing me. What if I put it onto that one? Will that one work? Not really. There. So then, maybe that's better. So we got, this is the face. Put it in. So we've got roughly around about a little bit sticking out the side there. I would just bend it so it starts to go. And as you spin the pendant motor or flex shaft, you just gently hold on to this so that spins round. And that's it. That's all that I would do. And then you have a ring shank. Let's have a look if I got a ring shank in here somewhere. I got a ring shank here. What I would do then, simply one ring shank. I would make that a little bit smaller, put your finger out so it's a bit small like that. Put that on the inside, and now we can go on the inside like that, and then let go, it does this. So if you do that, that's going to flap about. But if you just gently spin off and put that into the middle, there we go. Okay, so that's the little trick. Your emery paper, put it onto your split mandrel. I'm got my glasses on top of my head, just like that. All right, just bend it over to crease it. There we go. And put your finger on it, and then put that on the inside of the ring, and you can spin it. There we go. Job's a good 'un. And there we go. And that's how you would start off your split mandrel. Next question, please, Louise.
What are some best practices for purchasing the correct setting size for gemstones?
Yeah, because when I started to buy settings, I was always getting the settings that were just that little bit too small. Because when the catalogs say this is for a 4mm stone, I don't believe them. Because usually when it comes to settings, so nice little gallery setting there. When you say, oh, it's for a 4mm stone, you get your 4mm stone, and your stone basically virtually comes to the edge of where the setting is. And by the time you've come down here and you've done a nice little bit of a seat, your 4mm stone's right out here. So if it's a 4mm stone that I've got, perhaps I would go for perhaps a 4.5mm, or go for a high setting and go for a 5mm, knowing that I can always come down a little bit and chop the top off if it happens to be too big. That is what I would do. And I know that different companies are slightly different. Some people will say for a 4mm stone, and the 4mm stone will fit perfectly down here. But if I'm buying settings for, say, a 2mm stone, I'll buy a 2.5mm setting, just knowing that I can bring the claws down if it is a little bit too big. So that is what I would do. Same with the ovals as well, perhaps go up a size in the ovals, because you need to set that stone lower. And I always used to try, when I sort of started making jewellery, was trying to set the stone nice and high up, and there was never enough metal coming onto the stone. I was always afraid to cut the claws down a little bit, and sometimes they do end up just that little bit too high. So don't be afraid to go slightly bigger with the setting, and then you can trim those claws down a little bit to accommodate your stone. But it is, but once you get the hang of it, once you get, say you deal with Western Beam, or you deal with Hockley Mint or Stuller or whoever Stuller, you get to understand the sizing that they do. And they may be spot on. The 4mm stone may actually sit nicely low, exactly as you want it. So get a couple of settings, see what they're like, and then you can make your own judgment about what sort of size you want. But always go bigger, I would, in my experience. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, Laura Kay is making a bezel set pendant. How can I secure a line of beaded wire in place so I can solder it right up against the base of the bezel? It keeps shifting when I apply heat.
If you make sure that what I would do is make up the beaded wire as a ring. So say I've got, so say this is my bezel, and I'm soldering it onto like an oval back plate like that. It is going to be really hard just to lay down the beaded wire on the bottom. So what I would be inclined to do is make up, I'll be here all day. That's my beaded wire. I would make up the beaded wire and solder it so it slips nicely over the bezel, nicely, and just drops down into place. If you have it so the beaded wire has to be squashed over the outside of the bezel, when you solder it, it'll come apart. But you just make it so the beaded wire just drops down into place. All right, so here's your beaded wire. And when you drop it down into place, it should then stay in place. If you then put some flux on it, the flux is going to perhaps, especially if you use borax, the water is going to evaporate and it'll shift, but usually it'll shift straight back down. And as it is a ring, and when you do make it, you must make sure that when you look at the side of your beaded ring, it is completely flat. So when it goes over the bezel, it lies completely flat. Then if it does shift when you put the flame on it, you can always just bring the tweezers just to bring it down. And because it is a complete ring, it won't be all over the place. It'll sort of stay. Keep it that way and you should be able to solder it in place. And I think you should be fine, because what a lot of people do will sort of like have it loose and not solder it. So then the wire then will, because also if you don't solder it and you just lay it on here, the ends may move apart. There's nothing stopping those ends, but by soldering it closed, it has to stay in that shape. Then a little trick is that, say you have the join to your balls here, okay? What you want to do is heat up this area and solder this area first, and the last area you want to solder, where you solder the balls onto the base or the bezel, is up here. So do that first and then do that last, and that will keep everything together. So that's the best thing that I can suggest. And next question is, please, Louise.
Okay, Janet is asking, is it worth buying the hammer attachment for the Fordham flex shaft to help get perfect bezels?
The problem that you've got, good idea. The problem that you've got is a hammer handpiece. You have to get to know and have to understand how it works. You could really sort of damage a bezel by using the hammer handpiece. You have to make sure that you do it nice and gradually. Is it worth buying a hammer handpiece for the Fordham flex shaft to get the perfect bezels? You can get perfect bezels purely by burnishing. I find that a hammer handpiece would help you move metal, slightly thicker metal, over towards the stone. I went for years and years and years without a hammer handpiece because a burnisher for me is nice. You can get a nice, even, smooth edge to a bezel because the burnisher would just burnish this edge here. The problem with the hammer handpiece, it's impact. So it'll come along, and as the hammer handpiece here hits, it'll dent. You come along, it'll dent, it'll dent, it'll dent, it'll dent, it'll dent. There will be marks all the way around the outside of the bezel because of the tip is going bam, 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 bam. And you could come along and do it really, really slowly, but you're still going to get marks on the outside of your bezel. If you can do it very gradually, do a little bit here, 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 and then go around at 180 degrees, and make sure then that the bezel is nice and even. If you have a nice wide face to the hammer action handpiece, and if you have a nice anvil, you can make it nice and flat, and it'll just push. But you'll still get slight marks, the impact marks along the bezel. Then you've got to go over then with a file or a pumice wheel just to tidy up that bezel, just to remove those slight dents. Then you've got to go over and polish it. So you have to have an extra couple of steps. Whereas if you simply had a nice little burnisher and you burnished around the edge of the stone, you're burnishing the metal down and you're smoothing it and you're polishing it, and you shouldn't get then any marks on the bezel that you've got to buff off and to clean off and to polish up. So it doesn't necessarily help you. It only helps you if you've got a nice thick edge to the bezel that you find it really, really hard burnishing it. The hammer action would then bang and tap it down onto the stone. Then you've got another problem, that if this comes too close to a delicate stone, the impact, whether it be from the anvil, from the ends, may hit the stone, chip it, mark it. Or if you're pushing down the edge of the bezel and it comes into too much contact with the stone, it could mark it and split it and crack it as well. So you've got to take good care. In the wrong hands, it's very, very dangerous. Most things you could say that to, isn't it really? But I think learn to bezel set with a burnisher, understand how the metal moves, then progress up then to a hammer handpiece. I've been using that Bedico hammer handpiece that we played around with on the 12-hour. It's twice the price, but I think it's worth it. I got to do a review on that, but I'm really impressed with that Bedico.
I like the noise it makes.
It's nice, isn't it?
Very satisfying.
Ooh, it is very satisfying, yes. But the Fordham one, equally as good. Next question then, please, Louise.
Okay, how do you organise your burrs? Sandra wrote the size on all of hers with a Sharpie and it took a lot of time.
What I would do, you can buy boxes. I buy my boxes from Rio. I know they are wooden boxes. Some of them have lids. Yeah, some of them have lids. How do I draw a lid? Yeah, and there's all the holes going along. I wish I could actually practice what I preach.
Another good place to start would be dental suppliers, because they use a lot of burr organisation.
Do they? I bet they got better ones than us.
They probably have, yeah, but they're more expensive. But you might find, I don't know, if you go to the dentist, if you're cheeky enough to ask if they've got any old ones, or throwing them away to bear you in mind, because you've had handpieces, haven't you, off a technician, and
yes,
couldn't use them, but that's besides the point.
Them fit. But the boxes, they do boxes, yeah?
Yeah, and they've got covers on them, because obviously you have to keep the dust and the spray and everything off them. So yeah, there's probably quite a lot available, and you can get different little compartments for each
that's cool.
type.
I'll have to look at them. Look at them. But yeah, something like that, absolutely brilliant. Wooden boxes as well, they're pretty cheap. They're about, I don't know, $6, something like that. And then what you can do is open your pack of burrs, and you've got perhaps your ball burrs, and you've got, 0.8, 1 millimeter, 1.2, 1.4. I would do them, if you've got like 6 holes or 4 holes, I would have like 0.8 here, and all those burrs that there will be 0.8. I'd have 1 millimeter, so all those burrs that there are 1 millimeter. 1.2, all those burrs, and you get the general gist of the idea. So now you know you've got all the same size, because you come along with the 1.2 and you get that and you go, oh, it's blunt. Put it to one side, you've got another one you can take out, and then you can keep track. You come up to here and you've got 2 or 3 left. Better order another pack of 0.6 burrs. I'll order some of them. And that's what I would do.
Could you get a box and just have like an inverted, like a little table made out of metal or something, and then just drill your own holes?
People do, yeah. People have like blocks of wood.
You're all clever and can do all that sort of thing, can't you? So it'd be really easy for you
or like
guys.
a bit of 4x3, 4x2 bit of wood, and drill all the holes. Absolutely, yeah. I wish I could do that. I do start off that way. But it just all goes to pot then, doesn't it, really, after a little while. Christmas time I normally try and organise my burrs. And then, but normally by the
second week of January.
No, yeah, I say middle of January. Then they're all over the place, and they're all on my bench, and so forth.
You're shouting at Jason.
Yeah, that's another story. So, a block of wood, but I would have like say 6 holes, 6 going back, and whatever number you want to cross here. Some people have blocks of wood and they fit them within their drawers. When they open their drawers up, they got all their burrs lined up. So jealous. I could never do that. It looks good in Instagram pictures, but whether it ends up that way, I don't know. But that'd be the best way to organise burrs, or go on to a dentistry, or go and ask your dentist, if they've got any old organisational compartments or stands or something like that for burrs, because they use the same sort of burrs as what we do. Nice one. Well done, Louise. Yeah. Next question, please.
Natalia's asking, what does it mean when a company says they found porosity in their metal? Is it just bad technique or bad metal?
Sometimes it is not necessarily bad metal, because all the metal should be pretty much the same. It's actually how they do casting. And sometimes I get a couple of castings with a few little porosity marks within the surface. Sometimes it is either due to bad investment. Perhaps they tried to rush the investment and it got some little bits of dust or something within the flask that would go into the actual finished gold when it's in the surface. Or sometimes when they've melted it, perhaps they have too much oxygen, or they don't have the mixture of gas and air right, and too much oxygen has been introduced into the metal. So even though it's a solid mass, if you're forcing fuel, oxygen and gas at that metal, if perhaps you have too much of a hot flame and there's too much oxygen at that metal, the metal will absorb the gas. So you won't notice it until it actually gets cast. Sometimes it's due to that, sometimes it's due to the vacuum, sometimes it's due to the centrifugal, if you use centrifugal as well. But there's lots of things. Usually it's not necessarily a bad casting, but I think a casting house should pretty much know when they've got a bad batch and when they've perhaps used too much of the wrong mixture of fuel. It is awkward when you get your castings and you start to polish up, that you do find some tiny little pit holes within the surface. You can usually get around it by burnishing the surface with a burnisher or with a rotary burnisher, but you shouldn't really need to do that. I know I've had 1 or 2 castings from a well-known casting house in the UK, and the claws just simply snap off, and you look at under a loop, and the surface is really crystalline. So that would be quite a porous casting, but you don't know that until you actually come to work on the casting. But if it is too porous, I would simply send it back to the casting company and ask them to recast it, because it shouldn't be. Next question, please.
Okay,
I found some sweets.
Engineering. I accidentally bought a ceramic crucible which is not concave, but more dish-shaped with a convex centre. I've never seen one of those. Is there a special use for it?
Do you want a sweetie?
Where's my sweets?
I'm sorry, I'll give you some please. There you go.
I'm supposed to be on a diet.
Oh, a little pack of sweets won't matter. Sometimes, I don't know exactly what you mean by this, but sometimes the cross-section through some crucibles are like that. And there's a slight little hump in the middle. I don't know why. Is that what you mean? Because sometimes the middle is slightly, perhaps I've exaggerated that a little bit, but that
shape. So does that mean it's shallower than a regular crucible?
I'm not quite sure. So what was it? So a ceramic crucible which is not concave, but more dish-shaped with a convex.
Rather than, does that mean it's more like...
So it's more like that?
Yeah.
Don't know.
I took it to mean.
Don't know. I wouldn't.
But with a...
Woo, like
yeah,
that.
Is it like that?
Yeah, perhaps.
Yes.
Like that. Is there a special use for it? I don't think so, because sometimes you get these dishes. Sometimes you have them with a whip.
Is it going to heat? Is it going to work faster because you haven't got as much built up and it's shallower and
there's more metal exposed to the heat, perhaps?
Is that maybe what the bit in the middle does, because it doesn't pile up in the middle?
Maybe.
And it heats up a bit more evenly because obviously the ceramic in the middle heats. Is it to do with the distribution of the heat?
Maybe. I haven't really thought about it. I've seen the crucibles that are, as you say, very shallow.
Oh, your first drawing was the one. Sorry, I interfered and messed it all up. Sorry, everyone.
Sometimes you do find round dish shapes with whips, and they're called whips, and it's just like a wire that holds onto the dish shape like that. No, I just think it just depends on which brand of crucible you get. It does that. I just think it's just there's no real reason. Perhaps they do it so the middle doesn't wear out. Perhaps, I don't know, but there's no real reason for it. I don't think it's for a special use at all. I just think perhaps it's just some different manufacturers have a different style.
Some bottles of wine do that, don't they?
Louise, we're not having wine.
I know. I'm just saying. You've got your hobby. I've got mine.
Next question, please, Louise.
Okay. Tanya has got a cap in between a join. What do I use to fill it in? Just a bit, please. It's a 3D design.
She's got a gap
in between a join.
I think it means a gap in between a join.
A gap in between a join. What do I use to fill it in just a bit, please?
It's a 3D design. Not quite sure. Is it possible to cut through the join, put it nice and flush and resolder it? If you do have, perhaps what I would try and do is, I don't know what it is you've got, but if you've got, say, a ring for argument's sake, and I'm using a ring just for argument's sake, and say you've got a gap between and you need to fill it, I would get a small, thin little bit of wire to put in between the joints of the same metal as what we've got on either side, and then I would solder that in place, taking care not to melt this little bit of metal. So if you do have a gap, so I would put a sliver of metal between it. If it's a 3D model, perhaps it's not like this, but you've got a gap. Definitely put something in that gap, like a piece of metal or something like that, into the gap to fill the gap, then solder. What you don't want to do is put too much solder in a gap, because solder will flow between in a gap, but the problem is then if you look at the surface that is wide like that and you've got a bit of solder, the solder will be like this, will have a little bit of a dip, plus this area here that you soldered that's full of solder, even though you may use silver solder or gold solder, it's going to be a slightly different color. So you've got quite a wide area here of solder that is going to have a different color to the rest of the metal on either side. So I would put something like a filler in between the join, then you've only got very, very thin areas that you need to solder, and then the solder joint really isn't going to show. I think that's what you mean. If it isn't, just let me know and I'll happily carry on with that a little bit later. I'm enjoying this today. Next question, please.
Simona has just pointed out that it's St. Andrew's Day and everyone named Andrew or Andrea celebrated too. Happy name day.
And should have had the day off, I think it reads as well.
I didn't say that, no, because you gave Jason the day off, didn't you?
St. Jason Day.
Jason
We'd
Day.
never have a St. Jason Day, would we? There would never be a St. Jason Day, and if there was
Every day is Jason Day in this place.
If there was a St. Jason Day, you'd never hear the end of it, would you? Would you have a saint called Jason anyway? Well, there you go. So, thank you for that.
Should we have another question?
Next question, yes.
Thank you, Simona. He's going to be unbearable now for the rest of the day. Thanks very much. Oh, thanks. Currently do wire wraps and I work with metal clay. I'm just getting into filigree and silversmithing in general. I would like to get into micropaving or paving, but yeah. Any good resources to learn?
Wow. When you come to do micropave sort of work, you're going to need a lot of expensive equipment. You can get away with things like flex shafts. A Dremel is going to be not really suitable. A micromotor you would need, and it's just a matter of getting your small little stones. You need to get something like good cubic zirconias to practice with. I would try and get the Swarovski cubic zirconias because they're guaranteed the same size, the same diameter, the same proportions, but they're not cheap. And I think anybody who wants to get into micropave, just go on YouTube and have a look at things. Jura, so have a look, Jura. He's from the Netherlands, good friend of mine. He wears those big rock t-shirts with Bob Marley and all those sort of, yeah, because he was, I think he was a drummer back in the day. So Jura, he's from the Netherlands, check him out. Also check out Alexandra. Jewellery school as well, and he is in Germany, I think. And also check out on Instagram, check out Jewellery School, and he's a good friend of mine again. Roman is his name, and check those out. On YouTube and on Instagram, and there's loads of tutorials that they give, but it takes a lot of practice. I would suggest you have something like a microscope, you have a micromotor, really sharp tools, something like a GRS, a graver Mac to do some nice engraving and the cutting away and so forth. So to jump from, say, wire wrapping and PMC to micropave is a heck of a jump. I would try and start to learn how to set stones, not micropave, but how to set stones in a normal way. Things like flush setting, star setting, that sort of thing first of all, so you understand the principles, and then as you progress, then you can start buying more equipment. But those are the guys to go and have a look at on Instagram and also on YouTube as well. They're really good. And Jura will actually set stones where you never even thought you could set stones. Absolutely an amazing guy. He's good. Alexandra and Jura produce their own tools as well to fit onto the GRS microball systems as well. Absolutely brilliant. Next question, please.
Okay, B Demon is asking, how would you set a 1 centimetre round lab created opal with 5mm straight sides? Straight like tubing. It's a beautiful stone, but I have no idea how to tackle it.
1 centimetre round, 5mm straight sides. So it's basically that. Yeah, perfectly straight sides like that.
Straight sides, 5mm straight sides. 1 centimetre round lab, 5mm straight sides.
So. Traditional type of bezel is not going to work because you need to be able to push down on the edge. It was bezel set, wasn't it? They wanted to try and do bezel set it. It doesn't say, but
just set.
But pretty much, yeah. So there is a way you could do it. You could bezel set it and then glue it in place and put glue in the bottom of the bezel and set it so then the edge here of the bezel comes to the edge of the opal. If it is slightly domed, you could just get it to the edge and just taper the edge off a little bit like that. Okay, so the tubing doesn't end flush. The tubing would come at a slight angle like that, and simply glue it in place. That would be the easiest way. The other way to do it is to do what we've done with the morning jewellery and the druzy. Where is the druzy? Is it around here? Bear with me.
It's in
is it
cabinet.
On the cabinet? Bear with me a second, guys.
The lab opals, lab created opals, do they tend to be more stable?
Yes.
In terms of their porosity and what they suck up, for want of a better phrase.
They would be, yes. Because there's going to be no inclusions, there's going to be no cracks, marks, pits, there's going to be nothing natural in it.
Yeah.
And it's completely stable, yeah.
So less porous.
Yeah, I would have thought so, yes. Perhaps they're like reconstituted, so they've got all the opal, they've crushed it all up and mixed it with resin, and they can make it so it looks like an opal. No, perhaps lab created may not be. So like I've never done lab ketchup. So
no, I'd be interested to see.
Yeah, okay. So I could be wrong. But this is what we've done. We had this, trying a bit closer if I can. So we did this druzy ring for Gillian here, and you can see what I've done is the bezel was straight because the druzy had straight edges. And what we've done, how close can I get to this camera? Will this work? Yes, from there. So I brought the bezel slightly higher than the actual stone itself, and I just got the edge of the bezel and I've got a punch. I've just punched around the edge of the bezel, as you can see. I did the same thing with my my morning jewellery. So these are teeth within a ring, but don't worry, they are cosmetic teeth, courtesy of dentist. And again, from here, you can just about see the edge of the bezels, and the bezels are slightly higher than the stone. So from the edge of the stone here, say this is your stone, the bezel comes a little bit higher, then you get a punch and just punch a little bit of a dip, but you put the punch this way, so it just forces that edge of the bezel over. So the bezel has to be a fraction higher than the stone. And by doing that, where then you put the punch, it just pushes the bezel over in little places like that, just enough to hold that stone in place. But those are the techniques that I've used when I've come up to straight-sided things like the druzy. There we go. Next question then, please, Louise.
Okay.
We're doing pretty good, didn't we? Got a couple more questions left, I think.
Okay.
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, yeah. Leslie wants to make her mum, I'm sorry, I don't know, Leslie, if you're, wants to make my mum a brooch for Xmas.
Oh, that's nice.
But, yeah,
does your mother know?
No, I'm not making Mum, I'm not making you a brooch for Christmas. No, I just don't know if, I said, Leslie, I assumed you were a lady, but you might be a man. But
Leslie's making your mum a brooch for Christmas.
Thank you, Leslie, that's so kind of you.
Oh, right, Leslie. Your mother would be so pleased.
No, I'm reading out Leslie's question.
Oh, sorry, okay, sorry.
Can I start again?
Where can you get Bicep gloss wheels from? Joe, you can buy them from Walsh, you can buy them from UK Cousins, and you can also buy them from Sutton Tools, Betts Metal Sales. You can buy them from anywhere now, Ceratglass. You can even buy them from GRS as well. They sell them. Sorry, Louise, I interfered.
Right, Leslie is saying, I want to make my mum a brooch for Christmas, but I know it will have a lot of silver in it. Even though it's a gift, do I have to have it hallmarked if over 7 grams?
Of course you don't. No.
I've got things that aren't hallmarked.
No, it's only if you sell a piece and you describe that piece as silver or platinum or palladium. Only if you sell it, then the Trades Descriptions Act come into play, and then it has to have proof of what it actually is, if it is above the certain limit, as you say, 7 grams. You can make anything you want. You can make it like gold, platinum, palladium, whatever you want. It does not have to be hallmarked if you are simply giving it as a gift or giving it to your future wife.
Because that's not hallmarked, is it?
Because that isn't hallmarked. No, so your engagement ring is not hallmarked. It
could be anything.
It is platinum. I have
so you say.
It is.
I've got any proof, have I?
Your wedding band is hallmarked, I do believe.
A trip to the assay office, I think.
So no, you don't have to have it hallmarked if you're giving it to somebody. I suppose if you're giving it and you're saying it's silver, I think as long as no money is being passed, as long as no silver crosses your palm, I think you should be okay.
Just cross your mum's palm.
Just cross your mum's palm, yeah, exactly. Next question, please, Louise.
Okay, how far did I get? You did the Ceratglass wheels, didn't you? Yep. Slip track, I have a Durston Agile C130. Would an Agile F165 be worth buying in addition for the wider flat rollers? Only
if you want and you feel the need for something wider than what is available. I've got some, what have I got? C130? Because I've got texture plates, okay? These are texture plates. I've been doing a lot with these texture plates recently, and the people now who produce the texture plates, like Moira Connor here in the UK from Oxford texture plates, or produce them this width now. And this width is ideal because it's the right size. Let me spin this camera around so you can all see what I mean. Sorry if it's making a bit sick. Let's get a bit wider. There we go. So there we go. So this is exactly the same width as the flat part here. All right, so that is the same width as that. Texture plates don't normally come wider than that. And I found no real need. I think I have another mill downstairs that doesn't have that section of D-sections on the one side, so it is a little bit wider. But to be honest, I have never found the need to buy a flat rolling mill. I think only if you actually want to use it to make big wide sheet that I would have it. I think it's a lot of money for an occasional use. Just try and make do with what you got, I think. And if you are producing silver sheet, perhaps then it'll be cheaper to go and buy the sheet than spending the, I don't know, 800, 900 pounds on a brand new rolling mill. So no, I don't think it'll be worth it for the time being. Next question, please, Louise.
Andreas is asking, do you know how long the silver wire must be before twisting, before making an 18 centimetre torque cuff bracelet? Do you know how long the silver wire must be before twisting, before making an 18 centimetre?
So it depends on how much of a twist you want to put into it, I think. Because we in the past we've made hundreds and hundreds of bangles, gold bangles, twisted bangles. If you are simply twisting it, I would add on, about 2 centimeters to each strand.
Full twist.
So definitely, yeah, I would add on at least 2 centimeters to each strand to allow for it, definitely. What I would do, allow your 2 centimeters. Don't forget you've got a little bit of wastage on both ends because you've got to clamp it in a vise and then clamp it in a pliers or something like that. So you've already lost, say, 1 centimeter there and 1 centimeter there. So if you're making 18 slip track, saved you £900, well done. Or 1,100 as Joe just said, exactly, saved you £1,000. So you're going to lose 1 centimetre either end, so that's gone. I would add on then another at least 2 centimetres per piece. So say it's 18 centimetres, 18, that'll be 19, that'll be 20, and the 2. So I'd have about 22 centimetre piece each wire to put in your vise, or have a 44 centimetre piece and fold it in half. That would be your best bet, because then the 2 pieces aren't going to come undone when you put it in your vise, because they're trapped, aren't they? That's what I would do. Then what I would do is twist it. Twist, 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 making sure the twists are lovely and even. I would get my ruler and occasionally then measure that length you've got between your pliers and the vise. If it's, perhaps it's 18 and a half, 19 centimeters, keep twisting until that length then is around about 18 centimeters. Then I would then cut off then and use that. But I would always err on the slightly longer, knowing that then when you clamp and you twist it, you can always cut it that little bit. And the silver's never wasted because you can always use it into something else. Next question, please, Louise. Last question, is it, Madeira?
Okay.
Or if we had 2. I'll say last question, but have a backup just in case.
Oh, so 3 questions then to go, okay? Sandra has a problem with the setting. I think I have to glue the stone rhodonite. In which glue would you recommend? I am afraid it will affect the stone and I don't want it to fall out.
I think I would use like epoxy resin. I haven't known epoxy resin really play around with the stone too much. If the stone is porous, perhaps I wouldn't use epoxy resin. Like a 2-part epoxy resin, 5 or 10 minute hardener. You can get something like a pearl cement that would be a lot softer and a lot more gentle to the stone. Don't use super glue, it's not good. So that is what I would do, like an epoxy resin or a pearl cement. Yeah. No, Steve, I haven't done any modifications on burrs apart from just cutting the end off a 90-degree setting burr. That's all I've done. Okay, next question please, Louise.
Okay, the puppeteer. What would be the best way to engrave with a hand graver? Ways to avoid slipping with the graver and proper holding. Okay,
so you always got to make sure that the reason why the graver usually slips is because it's not sharp enough. They say you should always sharpen a graver and then test it onto your thumbnail by digging it into it. If it locates and stops on the thumbnail, it's sharp enough. If it doesn't and slides over your thumbnail, it's going to be not sharp enough. That's the old school. So always make sure the graver is going to be sharp enough. Have I got a graver here? Let's have a look. I do have gravers here. Oh, let's turn that back round. This may be the last question. I think this is going to be a bit of a lengthy one, I think. So these gravers are pretty much the same sort of length as you can see, and they always need to go in that part of the hand just by here. Okay, this part by here, as you can see, just like that. Basically just hold it. If I can get a better view there. So there we go. So it goes in that part of the hand by here. Some people will put their finger down the end here. Some people will put their thumb down here when you come to grave. But that's the way you would do it. You'd have it by here in this part. So when you push, you're pushing with the heel of your hand, this part here. That's what I would do. Okay, so then also what you want to make sure is that you come in at the right angle as well. So you have your metal, always have the graver, perhaps with a 60 or 45-degree bit on the top, like that. That's what we've done on these, as you should be able to see. You can just about see that there. All right, so that makes then sharpening the gravers really easy, because all you got to do is sharpen that little bit. A lot of people will just stick the gravers as you get them from the manufacturers, but it means you have to sharpen the whole face here. But by grinding away all this, you don't need the whole lot. All you need is this little area down here. And all you got to do then is just sharpen that bit of face there, which is so easy and so quick, rather than having to do all that. Then you've got to come into a certain angle. Some people will cut a slight heel, so they'll just take a bit off the bottom there as well. If you come in too shallow, the graver will slip. You just need to practice, and that's all it is. What was the question? Sorry, Louise. I think I've gone off on tangent here. Sorry about that.
It was,
sorry.
What would be the best way to engrave with a hand engraver? Ways to avoid slipping with the graver and proper holding.
Yeah, so there we go. So yeah, hold it that way. So this part of the hand, this part of the hand, the bulbous part, gets onto the thing. I use a mixture of gravers. Also, when you buy a graver, it's too long. What you need to do is make that graver the right length. We've got a film on YouTube, just search for it, and we show you how to get the graver, how to make it the right length, how to grind that face, and how to fit it into the handle as well. So you can go and check that out after this this video broadcast, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, so that would be the best thing to do. Do it like this. Wrong camera, there we go. So do it in that sort of area by there, like that. Usually they're too long and they stick out up here, you've got no control, but you've got to have control. Some people will put their thumb, and as they put their thumb, I can go a bit closer with this camera. There we go. Some people will put their thumb down like this and pivot, but you get a nice angle then from this, there you go, from this angle here. And when you come to do this, the graver is at this sort of angle, as you can see. So you just grave around and just move the graver. So that would be the best way, because the graver then is always that sort of angle. There we go. How about that?
Great.
Cool. Anything else I need to be need to answer, need to be aware of? Get a very good engraving book, read, then ask. Yeah, great. There's not many. I do have a engraving book. Oh, what book was that now? It's called Engraving Precious Metals by... Is it Robert Woodcroft? It's Robert, can't remember. But I know there are only a couple of books on engraving out there. Can I get a quick peek at your GRS? Ooh, saucy. And we connect it to your bench mate is a pain. Where it connects to your bench mate is a pain. Yours looks quick. Let's come round. Oh, gosh, I'm not quite sure. This is not going to work, is it? Let's have a look. Very, very quick. Let me take that off there. There we go. All right. Let's have a look. There we go. Yeah, so this is my dovetail plate. And that just drops on. What you sometimes have to do is adjust these bolts on here using the Allen key to get it. So what you want to make sure is this face here, the whole face, the whole edge here is in contact with the edge of the bench plate. I don't have the other screws put in because it would go in right into the joint by there. But that will drop down. Sometimes there is a little bit of movement, as you can see, a little bit of movement. So that's the reason why you've got to make sure that this face going down here goes all the way. And if it is on there really hard, well then it does take a little bit of wiggling to get it up and off. There we go. How about that, Mike? All right, and that's about it, I think, everybody. Yep, that's about it. How about that, Louise? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, there you go. It's Alan Hardy. That's the one. Thank you. That's the Jewellery Engravers Manual. R. Alan Hardy. It's a very good one. What then, Louise?
Fine, thank you very much.
Okay, I think that's about it for today's question and answer. Thank you everybody for coming on today. Really, really good. Jared has a good DVD engraving. Yeah, there's lots of Sam Alfano. If you want to get a good engraving book, Sam Alfano. Alfano, however you want to say it. His name's Sam. Yeah, got some really, really good engraving DVD. I did have a spare one, but I sold it. I had to. Okay, thank you everybody. Thank you all for coming on. Really do appreciate it today. There is no wine. Slip track, there is no wine. We decided to have a bit of a break from wine. We had a bit of a party on the weekend. It was Louise's daughter's 18th, and we had a bit to drink. And didn't realize how much you drank, really. Bit of a hangover, bit of a headache the night after, the morning after, a bit of a dull head.
We'll have a nice clean week, I think.
A clean week up until Friday, and then party Friday, is it? So that's what we're going to be doing. A dry, yes, Janet.
You heard it right. Yes, you all heard it right.
A dry. We did have another problem with the with one of the the blackcurrant wines, didn't it? It popped again. Another bottle popped because we must have had some secondary fermentation in the bottle, and it popped and went over the floor. So we're going to take it a little bit easy. So everybody, so no wine until Friday.
Can we do it?
Yes, we can, Louise. We've got to be positive. So that's what we're going to be doing. No wine, and also going to be eating healthily lunchtime. We're going to bring our own packed lunch.
Yes, started today
Yeah, it didn't go too bad, actually. I haven't really felt hungry this afternoon. Stir fry tonight. Right. Oh, God, my arms. Thank you all very much for joining us today. I feel like I've missed something. Have I missed anything?
Don't think so.
No. Okay, that's about it. Thank you everyone for joining me this afternoon. Homemade wine. We do love our homemade wine. Okay, so no more questions now. You have to come on next week nice and early to ask a question. Sorry it was so late coming on today. We just simply really did not have time at all. And we'll try and come on a little bit earlier next week, shall we?
Yes.
Next Monday?
Yeah.
Should we be here next Monday? Monday, yeah.
That's the plan, isn't it?
That's the plan. That's the plan. Yeah.
That's the plan every Monday.
Is it 6th of December?
It's going to be the 7th.
No.
Yes.
Is it?
Hang on.
7th. Yes. 7th. Campden tablet. Yes.
Yeah, the 7th. Yeah, it's the 7th next Monday.
Campden tablets. Yes, we are going to be using. We've got another load of blackcurrant that we got to put into demijohns. Campden tablet, yes, good. It's the 7th of... what am I doing? Start again. It's the 7th of December for the next question and answer at 4 o'clock, usual time. Everybody, stay safe. Anything you want to say?
Merry Krampus for Saturday.
Merry Krampus. Show top again. Look at that. Merry Krampus.
Oh, that way.
There we go. Nice. Very nice, Louise. You've been scaring the kids today with that.
Yeah.
You're going to be wearing it for the rest of the week, or are you going to be wearing it
No.
just today, is it?
I'll save it now for the weekend. Because Santa Claus is coming, isn't he? Saturday.
Santa Claus, Father Christmas is coming to
Yeah.
our street, delivering some selection boxes to the kids.
So I'll be there.
You'll be
walking
there.
on my knees. With my daps on my knees.
Please, sir, can I have a selection box?
In my Krampus t-shirt.
So, Merry Krampus, everybody.
Merry Krampus, everybody.
Louise, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
And we shall see you all 7th of December, 4 p.m, same time. Get on the chat nicely to be guaranteed to have your question answered. Sachin, Sonny, we do have to go because we're going home now. It's 5:20.
I'm sorry.
We have to go.
Been here an hour.
We've been here an hour. Get on a little bit earlier next week, ask a question, and we'll have a chat. Take care, everybody. Thank you all for joining us today. We will all see you next... I'm confused. Next Monday.
Monday, the 7th.
Oh, it's just been a long day. Everybody, take care. See you next week. Bye for now. Bye.